All right. We are here. Actually, I should just do this. And another great humans. No, let's try that again. Welcome to the Real Humans, Great Souls podcast. And today's important topic that is the E.V.O.L.V.E system that I use. And focusing on, is it possible to reverse or ameliorate, make better, make less severe chronic diseases? And of course, would I do this podcast if I didn't think so? No, I sure would not. So, what is evolve? What's the word evolve? Evolution, transformation, right? I'm looking it up as we speak, whether there are other definitions. What's the meaning of the word evolve? To develop gradually. Yeah, I guess that gradual change thing is important in there. To make someone or something change and develop gradually. What does it mean that a person is evolved? Oh, and look at that. I hadn't even seen this before. You feel a higher sense of purpose in your life, like you've been guided. Couldn't be more exact. That's what we do when we work through the E.V.O.L.V.E system. So today may be a short podcast because I'm just going to explain the E.V.O.L.V.E system, but I wanted to begin with a moment of experience today. Some of my clients are teenage girls, and today I met a new girl who was very, very sleepy, and she says she always falls asleep. She feels so, her brain is so tired that she can't retain information. But she once was a very good student. So what happened? We need to use I'm going to talk about the word evolve so many times, right? We need to help her evolve back into a better functioning brain, or into the new version of her brain, because of course these are teenage girls and she's a young teenage girl, 13, 14. And when the hormones kick in full speed in puberty, that can happen. All kinds of changes happen, right? And I explained to her, we can help the body adjust to the new state of being and make that into a positive thing rather than into a negative thing. So as I was sitting there meeting her, and I also laid my head almost down on the desk and was talking to her like this, because that's the position she had taken, to feel myself into the place where she was. And from there, it was possible to awaken a sense of, yeah, it's not my fault. It's my body doing things to me that I'm not as in control of, or that I haven't even conceived of being in control of. And I said, well, how do you think we can help your brain not fall asleep and forget? I don't know. So I said, food? What kind of food do you think? And of course, fruits and good stuff. And then I said, yeah, what do you think is healthier, a burger or a banana? Of course, I mean, that's a stupid question. But yeah, of course, she knew that the banana was better for her brain to recalibrate itself. So the understanding, and of course, there's much more to be done that others will be helping her with, such as, what happened in her life that caused this, could of course be lots of other factors. I just took this angle to make her feel understood and to find a relatively easy explanation why that happens to many of us women in particular at that age, that we lose connection with the outside world. So I wanted to start with that little story, and I'm looking forward to working with her again on Friday to see that we can awaken that brain and that body back to better functionality. We also call that condition, or used to call that, today we have many more different differentiations, right, for those phenomenons where the body sort of lets us down and just can't move or can't think, etc. We used to call that chronic fatigue. And I mean, when you looked at this girl, that's what she presented, chronic fatigue, ongoing, continuous, and she had this sense of, there's just no way out of this. And I hope I started to convince her that there is. And I'm saying chronic because the word chronic is also a word that I want to deal with today. There is no such thing. Last week's podcast was about human biology and biology in general. There is no such thing as chronic, really, in life, in biology, because biology itself changes all the time, right? It reinvents itself. It is never symmetrical. It is always asymmetrical. So it's never exactly the same thing. And of course, we age and grow if we're young enough, or we deteriorate and have to work extra hard to keep this biology going. So evolving back into better functioning will never be the same for different people either, but we can sort of look at the various elements that contribute. So chronic, therefore, is not a real thing. And therefore, you could also say there is no such thing as a chronic condition or disease, because there's always a way to evolve and recreate new cell tissue, recreate new pathways in the brain. We've known for decades now that if one part of the brain is damaged, even other parts of the brain take over the tasks that that part was supposed to perform. And the reconfiguration leads to reversing that damage, or it appears as though you're not really reversing the damage, but you find other ways. And sometimes you do reverse the damage. But you find other ways to deal with the situation and therefore alter it so that functionality is reachieved in a different manner. So that's also a way of explaining how chronic situations can be altered, changed, improved, and or we use the word reversed often, but it's reversal is not really a good term because it denotes that we're going backwards. Reverse, right? The reverse gear takes us backwards. We don't want to go backwards. We want to go forward in evolving the situation into a better one. So therefore, I'm not so keen on the term reversing disease, even though it is often used. You get what I mean? It's about having this understanding that life really only moves in one direction. Yes, it operates in cycles, but they're always moving forward, right? It's never like, okay, now we go back and then we start over. People think they can do that, using Botox or whatever, but it doesn't really work. So you cannot, you cannot go back and start back from there. You have to move forward with the conditions. I mean, it can be a valley where you are down in your functioning and then you come back up, but it still keeps moving in the same direction as your days add to your age, right? They never go backwards. So logic has it that there is no real reversal. It's not like a roll of film that you can wind backwards. That's old style. You can tell I went to film school a long time ago. Of course, in videos, same, you can run them forward and you can run them backwards. But life does not do that. Life always moves forward. So therefore, evolving is of importance, or is of much greater importance than reversal. When I created my main course and my main approach to helping clients get into really great health, but also helping clients getting into their next chapter career-wise, or maybe career change, or helping with a large project, or writing a book is a pretty large project, right? Or starting a new business, for that matter. That's when I devised the E.V.O.L.V.E system that I use, and it goes like this. E for explore what you really want, and that's just what you really want next. And sometimes it's not completely clear, but it kicks you off into a direction so that you're not swimming in all directions, kind of not knowing what you want. And even if that what you really want is better health, that's good enough, right? We can then get started. And defining what you really desire is important. So that's the explore stage. So explore what you really want, meditate over it, put it down in writing, and get clearer on what that is and why. Your why really is also goes into that explore stage. And in the explore chapter, we have expressing your vision, expressing it to others. So, because often when we even speak what we want, or what we want to do next, or what's most important, let alone write it down, or even more so when we're writing it down, something happens in our focus that allows us to get more focused, more clear on the path that we want to take, and the vision that we have of what we want to look like at the end of this 12-month course. So we are also in the naming of the goals and for this year, we're also listing a few things why we haven't gotten there. We ask each other, well, what was stopping you until now? Why haven't you done it? And we then come to the understanding that, of course, there's always dreams that we have and many things that stop us. Often it's money, circumstance, etc. And then we have to either devise a problem-solving strategy, or we have to find ways around those obstacles if they're not removable, right? To still find a way to do what we want to do. We also take account of all the experiences we had in the past that actually have provided us with skills or experiences that help us toward the goal that we're pursuing. So we make a list of the assets that we have of any kind, mental, physical, like I said, skills, etc., toward, so that we realize, oh my God, I already know this and that and the other that helps me pursue this goal because I'm already capable, right? In so many ways. And we try to design that strategy a little bit with some goalposts for those clients who become coaches themselves. It starts with founding the business and giving it a name, and unless they have that already, then the next step is to establish these milestones as to when what can be achieved, and how do I find my clientele, how do I promote what I want to coach on. And coaching is a very, very broad area, right? You can coach on real estate, you can coach on gardening, you can coach on most anything in today's world, right? You can help others better pursue and strategize what they need to do to achieve their goals. All right, so that's explore and express what you really want. That's the first E. Then we get to the V, and I called that verify the science. Now, everybody has, of course, a different goal, and there's science around that goal that will help you figure out what's important, what limitations you will have, what is provided. So, of course, verify the science can be very different from when you design like one of my students, a particular diet for your clients, or whether you design the book that you want to write, or the sculpture that you want to build, or etc. You get the feeling. So you get the gist here. So, and in verify, we want to look at the science, and we want to start testing ourselves. And we also, in the verify step, we start with our body cleanse. We want to, of course, the whole class is still called the Super Happy Body class, because my thought was years ago now that you need a super happy body to be the best and be the most effective in what you want to do in life. So verify that it works also includes our Our smoothie cleanse, we do a 5 to 7 day, everybody can decide, smoothie cleanse where we just have very nourishing smoothies that really cleanse the body and nourish to an extent that we normally don't get. And there's particular ways to do that so that you're never hungry, you're always satiated, you're taking a lot of nutrients, but at the same time, you're really brushing your whole intestines through, and your enzymes start functioning better, and entirely, it's kicking yourself off into that better body, into that happy body. I talk about it in the podcast, What's a Super Happy Body, right? So what's important here is that when we do the smoothie cleanse, we verify that it works, that what you put into your body really alters your sense of being, your sleep patterns, your better sleep, your happiness, your joyfulness, etc. So, and then for most people, the 7-day smoothie cleanse is followed by a 21 days on raw that again expands the building blocks in your body, adds new building blocks, if you will, and adds new recipes so that you know that you can always have some superpower food in your fridge, in your freezer, in your cupboards or pantry, because they're dehydrated, they last long, so that you can always have high energy foods for what you need to do, whether it is going into the workshop and hammering the metal for your sculpture, or for your whatever project you're building, or whether it is designing a breathing and yoga class for your clients, right? So it varies greatly, but it has the same steps to pass through. So verify that it works is step number 2. I'm looking at all my notes on various screens and notebooks here so that I don't forget the important parts. Next is O for overcome. Overcoming, actually, I don't like the word overcoming as much, but it was what I could find, because it is transcending, really, would be better. But of course, we have to come to terms with a name for things. So it became O for overcome. And it involves working on old trauma. And my approach is turn your trauma into tools. So we learn how to understand that everything we've experienced in this lifetime so far can be understood as useful and as helpful for the next chapter and for the future. Now, some of you will say, well, if that was abuse, that can never be useful. Yes, it can, because this life is, at the moment, the way our society is constructed, full of all kinds of abuses, and and you will learn to see where those abuses happen and where your triggers are and where you're reacting instead of understanding. When you analyze your experiences, your negative experiences that lead to what we call trauma, and break them down, put them into a broader context of the world and our society and our history, then you allow yourself to position yourself as part of humanity going through this experience we call life. And I understand that life is a recurring experience. It's not a one-time experience. So therefore, I don't feel as bad probably when terrible things happen, or when life is of course short for many people, too short, doesn't have to be. And still, when we are in the understanding phase, in the overcoming or rather transcending phase of our working through stuff, we understand that turn your trauma into tools is real and can be done. And it can be very, very freeing and empowering is the better word. So freshly or newly empowered with this understanding, you can move forward into this chapter, and your experiences, the negative experiences included, will carry you. You will be aware that you have almost like the support of all these experiences. Some experiences will teach you to not do something or try something again or put yourself into certain situations, but other experiences will also provide you with an empowerment. You see, I survived that. I came through that, and I still have all these gifts, or maybe even more so, have these gifts in me, this vision, this mission for my life. And therefore, I am enriched even by my trauma. And we've already before spoken about the skills in the first chapter, the skills that we have acquired in life, right? So now we're adding to the skills and the positive experiences, the negative experiences, also to empowering us. Sounds a little weird, but I've seen it work over and over, and you'll see. You'll see. So, of course, today's podcast is also to invite you into going through that experience, to invite you into our next class of the Super Happy Body program. I don't want to put a date here because you might be watching this in a year from now and another class may start at another date. So currently we are in 2024 in February, and our next class starts in March. So if you want to get into that class, please connect. You can just write a comment here or find me, Professor Johanna Sophia, on the internet and inquire. Inquiring minds. So next is L for what do you think? Love, not for loser. L for love. Yeah, I don't know why L became the loser. It should really always be love. It's such a dominant, wonderful quality, right? It's the best thing in the world in so many ways, is love. Among humans and the animal world, among humans and nature, among humans and the sunshine for that matter. You know, love is everywhere if you are able to see it. But in our program, we're now concerned with loving our body the way it is. We've already started working on it with the food. And actually, I forgot to say, along with the food verification comes exercise, comes some form of movement that everybody picks. And because, of course, the clients often are from all over the world, they can't necessarily exercise together or with me when I do my workouts in the mornings, because they are all at different times or different time zones. So everybody commits to their exercise program, whether it's walking or whether it's yoga or whether it's gymnastics or whether it's um, hiking, whether it's climbing, had that too, or whether it's going to the gym and doing weights and so forth. So, but it's important that it's regular and that it's somehow all body encompassing. Of course, when you just go walking, you want to, I will instruct you or encourage you to add upper body work as well. So the physical exercising has already begun. And in the Love Your Body as It Is phase, we already have seen the first changes, right? So therefore, it's easier to now come to standing in front of the mirror and say, I love you. I really love you. I love you. I love you. Because that is step number one, as we now know, to being able to love others and loving your work and putting love out there into the world. So the love part is awesome, and we tell each other how we reveal to ourselves how great this thing is, this thing we call our body, right? How enormously appreciative we are of having this. And we talk about little intricacies that we experience, how awesome it is. Here's another little example. Today, two of the girls I'm working with, of the clients, um, wanted to do, and there was an intern there as well working with us, wanted to do Michael Jackson moves, so we were all like trying to do these moves, dancing in this space. And it was completely ridiculous, but it was so fun because, of course, unless you practice each move or each set of movements several times, you can't possibly, do all the correct things. But yeah, it also should be fun. It was wonderful, and it didn't matter that none of us could do the moves properly or even halfway, right? And the feet go this way and the arms go that way, and it's all really fast. So, but the important part is that we moved our bodies, we laughed, we had fun, and we tried hard. So that's the Love Your Body. Gain strength and begin to live your new lifestyle, especially if you're going into coaching. You will also now have begun your business establishment. You will have begun your outreach, building a clientele. And there's a particular method that I use that makes sure that you have a following. Because in today's world, there are no longer any businesses that can afford to not be online, right? Or to be also online, even if it's a physical business, even if it's a car repair store or shop, is what I wanted to say. So even a car repair shop will have an online presence of some kind, right? So that you can book an appointment, and you will want to establish a clientele. And there are methods to get that done. And they're just kind of cookie cutter 1, 2, 3. This is what you do, and you will automatically accumulate a client base. So love your body, love your life, establish your future clientele. If you're going into coaching. If you're not going into coaching, if you're just doing this for your better lifestyle, you got plenty to do by loving your body. And finding out what else. There's so much more that we talk about. Also, the health of your environment, the health of your in-house environment that again impact your body. That's all around loving your body. Means also loving the home environment that you're in, making sure that you have natural materials in the home, and eliminating heavy chemicals, so that your body isn't impacted by too much other influences. We can't eliminate the chemtrails, but we can eliminate what chemicals we have in our own homes, right? For the most part. All right, we already are at, because you already have lived a better lifestyle now, we get to a certain level of vitality, and that's the next V. So we have E for explore, V for verify, O for overcome, L for love your body, and the next V is for vitality. Now we want to take the vitality that we have acquired into the world. So vitality into the world. And that means that, as I've just spoken about, creating a clientele, now we also want to go out there and join professional associations or groups that we could go hiking with or whichever, but we want to go out into the world and make new connections. We want to revisit old friends and connections that we may have neglected or may have had conflicts with, and we want to mend those old relationships. And we actually, there's a week where we have to, all clients have to make amends or get in touch with 3, could be friends or family members or professional connections that we had gotten out of touch with, and we're reconnecting with the world and making new connections, also going to new events and talking to people. Like I yesterday connected to a group that works on the campaign for Robert Kennedy for president, and we it was just interesting, why people were there, and I immediately made some new friends. I immediately also met a person who I had no idea that we had been at another event together before. Totally not politically connected, but for something else. So vitality is only useful if others connect with us, or if others benefit from that vitality as well, right? I mean, yes, it feels great to jump out of bed in the morning and feel fully alive and no aches, no pains, etc., which is, by the way, what happens to everybody. So you get to that point of vitality, you go out into the world, you make new friends, you make new business connections. If you're building a business or a coaching business, you make sure that the connections turn into friendships, and that there's some joint events, or if you wanted to be a coach, you might start a podcast or an interview series or live events together with other people. So it's a connecting time. So vitality to me means, you're full of life, you're vital, and that means you start operating in the world. And finally, we have the last step, that is E for establish. Establish your new lifestyle, business, health. And what does that involve? It involves that we actually, if it were me, in my case, it might involve that I design something like the E.V.O.L.V.E system. So you focus on what the pillars of your new lifestyle, your new business, or your project in the world, or your next project will be, for the matter. If you did something like writing a book, then of course there's also may still be a launch phase, and you might start your next project, but you have established something that helps you complete any project that you set out to do. Now, I'm not saying that all projects always work. Failure is part of the game, and that's adding to our tools. Our failures are turning into tools as well. It's interesting that many people understand that to be the case, that we have the ability to turn all our mishaps also in learning moments, right? There's a nice saying, I've probably said it before here, that you never lose, because either you win or you win experience, or you gain experience, right? Again, I'm not about winning and losing in the first place, but either you get to the finish line or you may not get to the finish line, and then that turns into a learning experience. You may analyze why, you may say, okay, I wasn't ready, or, that's all part of the analysis, of course. And you may also just say, well, I did, and I gained experience and strength and whatever the project was, and it will enhance my next go at it, or my next project, or my next chapter altogether. All right, so that is the E.V.O.L.V.E system. And I encourage you, of course, to check it out, book a call with me, and get into your own evolution, because that's what it's all about. All of life, from day one to the last breath, is an evolution. And it's not always looking like it goes like better, greater, da, 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 but it's different experiences that move through life. And of course, then there's a conclusion that allows us to say, okay, more next time, or it was good. Yeah, so the intention is, of course, also understood as this cycle from beginning to completion, and who knows what next project arises, and maybe in the next project you don't need as much guidance. It's so cool that I found the word evolve being described as developing slowly with guidance, right? That's what I'm offering. And of course, we all need that, more or less. And I'm going to leave it here to your own evolution, to your own evolved system, and or to joining mine. All right, that's it. It's a short one today, but for good reason, because I want you to keep this all in mind. That's it. Ciao for now. See you next week.